yesterday we have seen how Maya and Nishad tried to find out certain facts regarding Mr. Nath, who has been a patient of Maya's mother, who was a doctor. I thought I'd spend the time usefully. I sat at my desk in our bedroom with a sheet of paper before me. So here, who was narrating all the things to us? Maya was telling. Okay, Maya says that she would like to spend some time at her desk and she would like to find out the facts regarding Mr. Nath. She sat at her desk in her bedroom with a sheet of paper before her. Okay, let us come to second part of expert detectives. I wrote in large block letters, catching a crook. What was the heading that she had given to her findings? She has given a heading in all caps, catching a crook. Crook is a thug or a criminal. Expert detectives Nishad and Maya Pandit by appointment to the whole world. So these two expert detectives, both Maya and 7, Nishad, would like to find out certain facts regarding the man who was being joined as a patient. According to Maya, this man, Mr. Nath, was not a patient. She thinks that he was a crook and he had got so many jewelry in the trunk as well as the money. Then I began writing. About half an hour later, I turned towards 7, who was lying on his tummy. Okay, Nishad was lying on his tummy and Maya was about to discover something else regarding Mr. Nath. Okay, he was turned towards 7, who was lying on his tummy and chin cupped in his palms. What did he do? He was kept his chin in his palms and as if he was thinking so hard, and he spent most of the time in thinking. Reading comics. What was he doing? He was reading comics by sleeping or lying on his tummy. Okay, and want to hear what I have written? I asked. Okay, she asked me. She wanted to hear something from this boy Nishad, and he had discovered certain facts, and still Maya need to discover certain facts regarding Mr. Nath. And he looked up questioningly. I have listed all the facts we know about Mr. Nath, which might help us to trap him. I said, want to hear? 7 nodded. Fact number 1. I read his name is Mr. Nath. We must discover his first name. Okay? And do you think that's his real name? Maya Nishad asked. He looked up at Maya in a questioning way and he has started listing all the facts we know about Mr. Nath, which might help us to trap him. They just wanted to trap him, whether he was a crook or really he was a patient of his mother. And he said, I said, want to hear? 7 nodded. Maya was the one. Okay, I is belongs to Maya. Maya was the speaker here. She was having a conversation with her brother, Mr. or Master Nishad. Fact number 1 was that till now they came to know that the man's name is Mr. Nath. Actually, they couldn't find out the real name or the first name of Mr. Nishad. Do you think that's his real name, Maya? Nishad asked. Because okay, whenever we started discovering something new, some certain facts, we would like to go to the roots of it. Okay, unless they get into deep into that matter, they couldn't find out what's real, what's unreal, isn't it? So he started asking Maya regarding this. Do you think Nishad was his real name? If it is not his real name, there must be something else. There may be some other name would be there. It might not be his first name. He guessed it. Probably not, I said. Most crooks have an alias. Okay, alias in the sense, after changing the name of a person, usually the person's name would be called with alias. Alias in the sense, it's not a real name. It's a name which has been changed, and before we know about his name, we would be calling the person with some other name. So alias David means he was not David actually. his name is being changed to something else. Okay, alias means an alternative name. What is alias? It's an alternative name. And here Maya was telling that probably most crooks have an alias. I added a big question mark after Nathan. Okay, she added a big question mark to Mr. Nath. She was not really thinking that Mr. Nath was not his real name. There may be some other name before Nishant, before Mr. Nath. That might be the first name of him she thought. Fact number 2 is, I read on the tenants at Shankar house say he's mad, strange and unfriendly. One more fact she came to know about. What is that? The tenants at Shankar at Shankar's house say he is mad. Okay, there were the tenants were there of Mr. Nath, and there the people had a popular talk regarding this man. They all thought that this man could be a mad personality and strange and unfriendly person. Why he was seen to be strange? He never talked to anyone, and he looks somewhat different from others, and he looks like a mad person, and he was also an unfriendly one. Number 3, what's the third fact? He doesn't talk to anyone and is mannerless. That man has no manners, so that man is being known as a mannerless personality. And he doesn't talk to anyone and is mannerless. He never talked to anyone. Okay, he keeps himself lonely, and he never mingled with. He was not a good mixture. He never mingled with anybody, and he also keeps himself alone. And even if he comes across any personality, he never talk with manners. He's a mannerless personality. But he did not talk to us. Maya and Mama says he's very polite. Nishant interrupted. But Nishant was not agreeing with whatever the facts that Maya collected of Mr. Nath. And according to mother's information, because mother was the one who treats this patient Mr. Nath, according to Mama's words, this man was such a polite personality. Polite means very respectful personality. Okay, and he was such a polite man. He interrupted. Interrupted means disturbed the talk of Maya. And please underline the words polite, interrupted, alias, mannerless, tenants. Okay, noted. These are so far these words will be the hard words for you. Almost all the words you are already known. Okay, these are not strange words, and these are not the new vocabulary for you. Fact number 4. Okay, he only talked to us because he had to. I said. Okay, since our mother is giving him the treatment, he had to talk to us. Otherwise, his living or his treatment would be okay. Treatment may not continue unless he talks to us. The treatment may not be continued by our mother, she says. And she also says that, and since he was under Mama's medical treatment, he had to do it. Okay, now he was taking the medication from their mother. So that's why, unless he is polite to them, unless he was not talking to them, his treatment may not be continued further. That's the reason she was allowed to, Mr. Nath was allowed to talk to other people and was talking to these children as well as the mother of Maya and Nishant. And fact number 4 is, he does not receive any letters 7 or 8. He never receives any letter from anybody. So who receives the letters often, according to our way of thinking? Usually the people who have their relationship with other people and who have got relation, such people would be getting the letters from others. This man was not getting any letters from anybody, and that's the 4th fact. 7 was also nodded towards this one. Maybe certain facts or match preaching to Mr. Nath, and certain facts were not to be believed as facts. Okay. And number 5, he's been living in room number 10 of Shankar house for more than a year, where he was also one of the tenants who was staying in Shankar's house, and he was one of the tenants, and he stays over there in Shankar's house for more than a year. How long did he stay there in Shankar's house? More than 1 year. And I continue. Number 6, he does not work and sits in his room all day. One more thing is, being a man, when a person is a man, usually man goes for work, because unless the man works and feeds his family, the family cannot be continued, isn't it? So when a person is a family man, he has to take care of his family, he has to work hard. Okay, here this man, Mr. Nath, was not at all working. He always keeps himself alone, and he never mingle with anybody, and he stays at home, he never go to work. Okay, number 7, the kids in Shankar's house and even some of the grown-ups are scared of him. Okay, Shankar's house was a big colony, like a big apartment, like the other families were also living along with them. So he was not at all. Some children at Shankar's house were scared of him. Why they were all scared of him? Because he looks so strange. He was not like the other children, and he was not like the common man. Okay, he was looking so strange. That's why the people have not taken him in a positive sense. He was the tenant of Mr. Shankar. At Shankar's house, there were certain families. In those families, there were kids. Whenever they come across this man, Mr. Nath, they were all scared of him. They were all afraid of him because he looks very strange. What's the fact number 8? He has no visitors. No visitors comes to Mr. Nath except for a spectacle. Only the man who wears spectacles and who looks very tall and fair, the fat man, who visits him on the Sundays for lunch. Okay, the same man was visiting him at the clinic also. Okay, one man was coming and visiting Mr. Nath at the clinic. The same personality used to come to his house too. And number 9, food and tea are taken to his room by Ramesh. Ramesh was the person, one who carries the food and the snacks and the tea for Mr. Nath. The restaurant downstairs. Actually, he was also talking about the hospital matter, the clinic matter. Okay, to the clinic, usually who comes over there? Usually this Ramesh gets the tea, snacks and lunch and dinner from downstairs. He does not care what he eats, pays his bill immediately, and he tips well. He doesn't care for his diet. Whatever it is given by the restaurant authorities, he was just eating. But one and only thing that he knows is he eats, he pays very well, and he also gives the tip to Ramesh. That ends my list. Have I forgotten anything, 7? So all the things she just listed out. How many facts that she was listed out? There are certain 9 facts regarding Mr. Nath that she has listed out. Nishant had obviously not been paying too much attention to my list of facts. All he could say was, poor man Maya, he must be so lonely if he doesn't have any friends. Nishant was not really taking good attention to the points that she read. Okay, whenever there comes a matter of Mr. Nath, Mr. Nishan, Master Nishan was not paying attention. He keeps saying that the man was poor and he was kept alone and nobody is visiting him. The remaining part of this lesson will be continued in the next class, and you have to prepare well for the assessment 4, and